Hi, welcome to Breakthrough Church Daily Devotions. We are following the book of Exodus for our daily devotions. We are still in Exodus chapter 20 verse 17, commandment number 10. Commandment number 10 states, "You shall not covet your neighbor's house, you shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his male or female servant, his ox or his donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor." The coveting which the 10th commandment condemns is the desire to have something which one does not have, or which one does not think he or she has enough of. In brief, coveting wants more. Coveting is a consuming desire which is highly competitive. It is an evil attitude. Ecclesiastes 4 verse 4 says, "And I saw that all toil and all achievement spring from one person's envy of another. This too is meaningless, a chasing after the wind." Coveting wants not only what one does not have, but what one cannot have. Coveting wants what is forbidden, that which belongs to another person and which cannot be obtained. The assumption here is that we covet what we cannot have. That is, what our neighbor either cannot give up or will not give up to us. Covetousness then is desiring something so much that you lose your contentment in God. Or it's losing your contentment in God that you start to seek contentment elsewhere. Now, covetousness never brings satisfaction. Ecclesiastes 5:11 says, "He who loves money will not be satisfied with money, nor he who loves wealth with gain. This is also vanity." Jesus put it like this in Luke 12 verse 15. "Beware of all covetousness, for a man's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions." Ecclesiastes 4 7-8 also states, "Again I saw something meaningless under the sun. There was a man all alone. He had neither son nor brother. There was no end to his toil, and yet his eyes were not content with his wealth. And he said, 'For whom am I toiling? And why am I depriving myself of enjoyment?' This too is meaningless, a miserable business." Covetousness also chokes off your spiritual life. Jesus told the parable of the soils in Mark 4 1-20. And he said that some of the seeds fell among the thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked it. Then he interpreted the parable and said that the seed is the word of God. The seeds sown among the thorns is interpreted like this: the cares of the world and the delight of riches and the desire for other things enter in and choke the word of God and prove it unfruitful. The desire for other things can be so strong that the beginnings of a spiritual life in a person can be choked out altogether. Now, covetousness also gives rise to many other sins. 1 Timothy chapter 6 verse 10 says, "The love of money is the root of all evils." And James chapter 4 verse 2 says, "You covet and you cannot obtain, so you fight and wage war." Covetousness is a breeding ground for many other sins. Covetousness also destroys the soul. 1 Timothy chapter 6 verse 9 says, "Those who desire to be rich fall into temptation, into a snare, into many senseless and hurtful desires that plunge men into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evils." It is through this craving that some have wandered away from the faith and pierced themselves with many pangs. Colossians 3 verse 5 also says, "Put to death therefore what is earthly in you: sexual immorality, impurity, passion, evil desires, and covetousness, which is idolatry." Now, one surefire way of beating covetousness is to find satisfaction in Jesus Christ alone. If Christ is not enough for you, then nothing else will satisfy.